Now Booth knew only two actors remained on stage. The tension was unbearable. The syllables being spoken on stage sounded no longer like words, but like the last ticks of a dying clock winding down. It was 10:13 p.m. I am aware, Mr. Trenchard, that you are not used to the manners of good society, and that alone will excuse the impertinence of which you have been guilty. Mrs. Mount Chessington, excited in a huff. Miss Mount Chessington? It's too many syllables. I am Mrs. Mount Chessington. I played Hamlet at Cambridge. Excuse me, what is my motivation? Henry Hawk? No, Harry Hawk. Harry Henry? Hawkeye was alone on stage now. Booth opened the door and stepped into the president's box. Harry Hawk began reciting the last sentence Abraham Lincoln would ever hear, a corny broadside of comic insults that delighted the audience. Oh, that is such a delight. Don't know the manners of good society, eh? Well, Wall, I guess I know enough to turn you inside out, old gal. You sockdolagizing old man trap. Abraham Lincoln was so near. If Booth desired John Wilkes, or are they talking about Lee Harvey? Which Booth are they talking about? If Booth desired, he could reach out and tap him on the shoulder with the Derringer's muzzle. No one in the box had seen or heard him enter. The Lincolns, Harris, and Rathbone all continued watching the action on stage. Booth began the performance he had rehearsed in his mind again and again since that afternoon. He stepped towards Lincoln, who was stationary, not rolling back and forth on the rockers of his chair. Booth focused his eyes on the back of the president's head. He raised his right arm to shoulder height and extended it forward, aiming the pistol at Lincoln's head. He didn't even really have to aim. Aiming suggests a marksman's skill. He was so close to the president now that all he had to do was point the Derringer. The factory had not set the pistol with the hair trigger, so until Booth increased his finger pressure to a few pounds, the Derringer would not fire. He squeezed harder. So he's just right there at point blank range, shooting somebody in the back like a fucking coward. Like a fucking coward. You sockdolagizing old man trap. You sockdolagizing old man trap. All them ideas. All those brilliant thoughts that he had. All those brilliant speeches and brilliant ideas. And his whole point of slavery. He wasn't even a big anti-slavery person. He was mostly about the Union. And he kept the Union together. As the audience exploded in laughter at that instant, at the last possible moment before the pistol discharge, Abraham Lincoln jerked his head away from Booth, low and to the left as though trying to evade the shot. The black powder charge exploded and spit the bullet towards Lincoln's head. James Ferguson saw Lincoln move just before he saw the muzzle flash, illuminate the box momentarily like a miniature lightning bolt. The president's movement and the shot were simultaneous. Had Booth missed? You sockdolagizing old man trap. What is this sockdolagizing old man trap bullshit about? What are you, some sort of sockdolagizing old man trap? So it says here it's a nonce word. A nonce word. Okay, what is a nonce word now? Now we gotta look up another word. A nonce word, also called an occasionalism, is any word. Lexene? Lexene. Are you kidding me? Or any sequence of sounds or letters created for a single occasion or utterance. Okay. A word coined for one single occasion only. English bristles with nonce words. You can only use it this once, and you better never say sockdolagizing ever again, you sockdolagizing old man trap piece of shit, bitch. What? What's this lexeme, huh? Is any word lexeme, okay? Lexeme is a lexical unit of a language consisting of one word or several words considered as an abstract unit and applied to a family of words relating by form or meaning. Isn't it kind of crazy that the definition of a word is just other words When do we ever get to the definition? What the fuck do any of these words mean? You sockdolagizing old bastard rat fucking dickhole. Fucking schmegma licking motherfucker. What is a nonce word? You're a nonce word. You Lexene nonce sockdolagizing maven. So we got another nonce word. Okay, here we go. This is according to generative AI. So if you're a big believer in artificial intelligence, a sockdolager is a decisive blow. A decisive blow or answer that settles a matter, or something that is exceptional or outstanding. For example, you might describe a heavy finishing blow as a sockdolager, right? So when it came to the Tyson and Paul fight, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, there is no sockdolager. But you've seen knockouts before. Muhammad Ali, right? There was that big fat lady and that little skinny woman. I saw that big fat lady and the little skinny woman. Skinny woman's dancing. Basically, big fat lady could just grab a hold of little skinny and just break her in two. But she's too fat and too slow. She can't get a hold of the little skinny one. And so eventually, the little skinny comes in and tries to punch her in her face. It pisses old fatty off. Fatty lunges for skinny, and fatty falls over. And she hits her head. And she can't get back up again. So that was a sockdolager, right? Just aim it at someone's face, and you want to hit them, but you didn't have the wingspan, and then you got their momentum like a keto. You turn their momentum against them, you pissed them off, they lunge for you, and down for the count. Down goes Foreman. Down goes Frazier. Old Jumpin' Joe Frazier. Don't tell me that's not what they called him. Old Jumpin' Joe? What's up, Jumpin' Joe Frazier? You sockdolagizing old man trap. So basically, sockdolagizing old man trap is, you low-life piece of shit whore, you. Man trap, right? You just trap a man. You get his dick in you, and then he's trapped. You sockdolagizing. I heard another sockdology. Doxology is a hymn of praise to God. And so they're saying that it's like a changing of the word of doxology. So, sockdology, a hymn of praise to God, to punch, a heavy finishing blow. A heavy finishing blow. Now, this had brought up a different word, maven. What is a maven? The meaning of maven is one who is experienced or knowledgeable, an expert, also a freak. A maven, or a person particularly skilled in the field. The word maven comes from the Yiddish miyivin, meaning one who understands. An expert or connoisseur. A person with good knowledge or understanding of a subject. So somebody said, well, according to the word mavens, here's what sockdology. Look, I've never been a sockdolager myself. Something that settles a matter. And that's interesting. I wonder if the fucking booth was like, what the hell is a sockdolager? Well, shit, it's a finishing blow. It's something that settles a matter. A decisive blow. It's like Yorktown. You need a Yorktown. You need a decisive Yorktown. A finisher. Just like in Mortal Kombat. Finish him. Finish him. I knew enough to turn you inside out, old gal, you sockdolagizing old man trap. You low-life piece of shit whore, you. You low-life piece of shit whore, you. This guy is saying he's taking solace in the fact that Abraham Lincoln died laughing. You take solace in that? Sarah Vowell in her riveting and powerful assassination vacation speaks about how it's a comfort of sorts to know that the bullet hit Lincoln mid-guffaw. Guffaw? Why are we using words that don't fucking mean anything? Guffaw. Yeah, like that's a word. Guffaw. A loud or boisterous laugh. Ha ha! That's a guffaw. Laugh in a loud or boisterous way. Is that what he was doing? Because it seemed like to me he wasn't rocking, he wasn't going back and forth. He kind of just leaned his head a little bit. He was looking at a flag, and now he's guffawing. He's not just chuckling. It's like chortling, right? You want to chortle my balls? No, I don't want to chortle your balls, motherfucker. Jesus Christ. Don't know the manners of good society. You know, that's what I like about America is all the manners, all the mannerisms, all the sockdolagizing, old man trapping whores. That's really what I like about America. All the sockdolagizing, old man trap whores. Gotcha! I've trapped you. This guy here, he's saying that he's something about, he didn't understand the joke, and then, yeah, he didn't understand. But this guy down here says that, well, clearly it was about hook. And so, hook, line, and sinker. She's a hooker. She's just a goddamn sockdolagizing old man trap. She's a whore, right? So, she's a fish hook. Here it is. I've thought it over and sockdolagizing old man trap, da-da-da-da-da, blah, blah, blah. I said it was it, but it is not it. I thought, oh, okay, I found this page. For Naseby, but the sockdolagizing mystery caught my eye. A sockdolager, not Stockdology, you fucking asshole. It's a patented spring-loaded double fish hook, which was invented in the 1840s. The term appeared in an 1848 Dictionary of Americanism, so it must have been fairly common. Though confusion sets in its origins a mere 20 to 30 or so years later, a careful look at usage in the text in the 1840s or 50s seals the case. And then there's a picture of this hook contraption from the era here. And I looked at the damn fucking... It's a dead page. It's a dead link. But it's a fishing hook, right? A fishing hook like an old whore, right? Like an old haggerty whore who just wants to get her hooks in on you, and then you traps your dick inside of her, and aha, now I got you for life. Oh, you like this wet pussy here. You like this wet pussy here. You are trapped. You're a fucking hooked now. You sockdolagizing old woman trapped low-life piece of shit whore. Yeah, who's the whore now, motherfucker? What are you talking about? As the audience exploded in laughter, at that instant, at the last possible moment before the pistol discharge, Abraham Lincoln jerked his head away from Booth. I already said that. The president's movement and the shot were simultaneous. James Ferguson saw Lincoln move just before he saw the muzzle flash illuminate the box momentarily like a miniature lightning bolt. Had John Fitzgerald Booth, had he missed? If he had, the assassin was suddenly at great risk because he didn't have the 20 to 40 seconds needed to reload. And anyway, he hadn't even bothered to carry more gunpowder and bullets in his coat. So I guess what that sockdolagizing old man trap line means is don't ever laugh. As soon as you laugh, that's when you get a bullet to the back of the fucking head. So you better not fucking laugh, you sons of bitches. Now he was trapped between Lincoln and Rathbone, armed with nothing but the knife. If Lincoln's peripheral vision had alerted him to the presence of an intruder creeping stealthily toward him, or if he had caught the blur of Booth's arm moving into firing position, the president might have ducked a shot, or at worst suffered a non-fatal grazing head, neck, or shoulder wound. If only that had happened, then Lincoln, even at 56 years old, would have been a formidable opponent. The idea of venerable Father Abraham fighting back against the gymnastic, leaping, and sword-fighting stage star is not as far-fetched as it sounds. What was that one guy? Thomas Crooks? And then what was that other guy? Fucking blue-haired guy? Who was that other guy? There was that Englishman. Remember that Englishman? He tried to grab the gun of the cop so he could shoot. Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln. It was widely held in 1865 and certainly today that the toil of the Civil War had transformed Abraham Lincoln, Linkhorn, it's Linkhorn, into a ruined old man. Abraham Lincoln's beard, his slow ambling gait, and his careworn face captured so movingly in the last photographs by Alexander Gardner in February 1865 and by Henry Warren in March 1865 gave credence to the myth of Father Abraham, the ancient Moses-like figure leading his people. But there was another Abraham Lincoln that no one in Washington had ever seen, the vigorous, muscular rail splitter of the West. That image was more than a brilliant slogan from the presidential campaign of 1860. Being a martyr gives too much credit to your enemies, doesn't it? Being a martyr gives too much credit to thine enemies. Lincoln had really been a rail splitter and a man hardened by years of brutal physical toil. With his creased apple doll-like head sitting atop a thin 6'4" frame, President Lincoln might have looked old and weak. The wartime demands of the presidency had taken their toll, and Lincoln had lost 20 or 30 pounds during 4 years in office. But beneath that ever-present baggy frock coat and ill-fitting trousers, there remained a lean and formidable physique. Too soon doctors would discover and marvel at the age difference between his face and his body. Had Booth missed, Lincoln could have risen from his chair to confront his assassin. At that moment, the president, cornered with not only his own life in danger, but also Mary's, would almost certainly have fought back. If he did, Booth would have found himself outmatched, facing not kindly Father Abraham, but the aroused fury of the Mississippi River flatboatmen who fought off a gang of murderous river pirates in the dead of the night, the champion wrestler who years before humbled the Clary's Grove Boys in New Salem in a still legendary match, and even the 56-year-old president who could still pick up a long splitting axe by his fingertips and raise it, extend his arm out parallel with the ground, and suspend the axe in midair. Just have the axe straight out. That big, fat, heavy axe at the very end, that's impossible. Who in the hell could do something like that? Lincoln could have choked the life out of the 5'8", 150-pound thespian. Thespian? Well, that don't sound tough at all. I am a thespian from Yardale. I played Hamlet at Cambridge. Excuse me. What's my motivation? All props to the 7-Up commercial of the 1990s. Wrestled him over the side of the box, launching Booth on a crippling dive to the stage almost 12 feet below. But Lincoln had not seen Booth coming. He had not moved to avoid being shot. Instead, just as Booth was about to fire, Lincoln leaned forward and to the left to look down into the audience on the main floor. James Ferguson saw it all. The president at the time he was shot was sitting in this position. He was leaning his hand on the rail and was looking down at a person in the theater, not looking on the stage. He had the flag that decorated the box pulled around, and he was looking between the post and the flag. The pistol, a fine, exquisite, expensive weapon, had functioned perfectly. The trigger freed the cock hammer from its tension spring. The hammer snapped forward, striking the copper percussion cap resting over the hollow steel nipple mounted on the barrel. The resulting spark flashed into the chamber, igniting the load of black powder. The explosion propelled the .44 caliber ball at a muzzle velocity slow by modern standards, but fast enough. Still, Booth had almost missed. If the president had leaned forward a little more, the bullet might have just whistled just over his head. Instead, it struck him in the head, on the lower left side, a little below the ear. The ball ripped through his chestnut-colored hair, cut the skin, perforated the skull, and because of the angle of Lincoln's head at the moment of impact, drove a diagonal tunnel through Lincoln's brain from left to right. The wet brain matter slowed the ball's velocity, absorbing enough of its energy to prevent it from penetrating the other side of the skull and exiting through the president's face. The ball came to rest in Lincoln's brain, lodged behind his right eye. Lincoln never knew what happened to him. His head dropped forward until his chin hit his chest, and his body lost all muscular control and sagged against the richly upholstered rocking chair. He did not fall to the floor. He looked as though he was bored with the play and had fallen asleep. It happened so fast that Lincoln lost consciousness before he heard the report of the bullet. The rapport of the bullet, smelled the burnt gunpowder, was enveloped by the voluminous cloud of blue-gray smoke. The signature of all black powder weapons, the sound of the pistol more like the hollow poof of fireworks than the hard cracking of a modern firearm. Another characteristic of 19th century black powder weapons with low muzzle velocities echoed and hung in the box for several seconds. Poof! Then it traveled to the ceiling and the stage below and reverberated throughout the theater. Nobody moved. The president, Mary Lincoln, Clara Harris, Major Rathbone, and Booth remained perfectly still, as though posed in the studio for one of Alexander Gardner's wet plate albumin photographs that required a motionless exposure of several seconds. Stand. Keep standing. Don't move. Ah, you moved. Gotta do it again. Time stopped. The pistol's report did startle a number of people in the audience. Some thought it was part of the play, others an unscripted surprise in honor of the president's visit. And some people in the theater, they didn't hear it at all. They didn't hear it at all. Now, Mary Todd, she was sitting there like cuddling up to him, like pulling out his pecker, sucking his dick or some shit. And she's like, what will they think of me just loving on you like this, huh? What would they think of me doing that, huh? So she had a whole bunch of clothes, right? Spent a whole bunch of money on her fancy clothes. You know, the important shit. She was very much fixated on all the important shit. Good old Mary Todd Lincoln. Good old Mary Todd. Good old Yoko Ono, too. Yoko Ono and Mary Todd. Just two outstanding, incredible female figures in American history.